What's up, fellow virgins? This is my argument for full time leagues in some shape or form in old school RuneScape. I'm going to give you the short ADHD version first, and then we'll get more in depth later in the video. Here's the idea of the good things that I think this solution or some version of it could bring to the game. First off, more leagues. Leagues are good. This current league, League 6, is absolutely fantastic. It is the most fun I have had in years playing RuneScape. I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that they're bringing league content back. It has been, well, it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's been forever. Leagues are just dang good. I'm loving it. Leagues bring faster gratification, and they also bring faster access to the really good, enriching endgame content, including areas like Tehran, which, if you're a noob or even a medium level player, you're not seeing Tehran for hundreds or even thousands of hours. You're not seeing endgame level boss content for about the same amount of time. There's just a really high buy in of time and resources to access content in the game that is actually fantastic. I mean, some of the end game bosses are just an absolute joy to go through, right? But a lot of players aren't even going to access it because it takes so long to get towards, which is its own problem. But I think League solves this swiftly. Within a weekend or a week of playing, you're good to go on some of this end game content. And that's a lot of fun to be able to get into it so quickly and access some of this late game stuff that would take you so long in the normal game to get a hold of. This current league, and I think last league actually really started it, but I think there's frequent replayability in just how much customization that there actually is in League's gameplay. So in normal RuneScape, there is sort of build crafting that you can do in a way, but the optimal best case solution to how do I go with any skill, what's the optimal build to go into this content? The answer is simple. It's always just going to be 99. Just have 99. Have the max level of the thing, and you're going to do the best at that combat encounter or that skilling encounter, right? Pretty much. And then secondarily, get the best equipment. That's really the long and short of it. And it really, uh, it's kind of brain dead, which is fine. I mean, RuneScape's a fantastic game. I love RuneScape. To clarify or give you some credentials, I guess I should have started with this. I've been playing RuneScape since 2005. I have really not stopped for significant periods of time, except one that I'll get into later. And I simply love the game, and I just want to see the game flourish and succeed, and I want to be able to play it justifiably as I get older and take on more responsibilities. But we'll get into that. I think the relics and packs of the last two leagues has created an absolutely insane amount of replayability in an actual build compositions, because now it's not just, oh, what's the best way to tackle this, we'll just get 99. There are a lot different solutions. I'm stopping right now. I'm at Gemstone Crabs right now in the league. I'm just doing some fun little AFKing while I talk to you. I went with, for experience or for my personal take, I went with the magic tree in the packs. I went with the glass cannon, sacrifice your life to get stronger fire spells. It's probably very inefficient for PvE, which I'm already terrible at, but I absolutely love the damage, baby. The damage has been unreal. The XP per hour has been absolutely unreal with this build. I'm very happy with it. I would love to try out other builds. I'm not going to make 12 accounts to do it. Kind of want to. If a league like this was on rotation or repeatable, I would try almost every type of build. It has given me the greatest FOMO that I've ever had in this game with the amount of build opportunities that there is with the relics and the packs. That is such a cool thing that they have here. For the first time, RuneScape really feels like it is upgraded as an RPG, as an MMO, and is giving you a lot more options to play with and actual character and more like actual class like building going on here. Huge addition. Absolutely love it. And all these relics and packs break the game. And I think it do it in a very, very fun way. I mean, you have people that are absolutely just wrecking bosses in 6 seconds with things like blind bag. I'm all here for it. I think all of us are. It's just such a fun way to be able to play the game in a way that would make the main game unfair. But this is a separate thing. So let's get a little unfair with it. Let's have some fun, you know? Importantly, most importantly, and this is a sort of a voodoo topic, I guess, if you're actually a RuneScape YouTuber. I've never heard a RuneScape YouTuber talk about private servers. They are such a prevalent problem in the RuneScape community. There are hundreds of private servers. They are obviously operating illegally, especially when they take money and donations for benefits in the game. I'm not endorsing private servers whatsoever. If you are a main game old school enjoyer, please do not go and play on a private server. It is taking something away from the game. But the problem is, and then we'll get into that, is that a lot of my problems with the main game versus leagues and not having leagues as an available option all the time, it seems like private servers solve a lot of those gratification options. And so creating a full-time opportunity to play leagues in RuneScape would absolutely decimate the majority of reasons that people go to private servers during the load times, like right after a league comes out or right when it's been months since a league has been out. I think leagues would fix that issue. On the bad side, I do acknowledge that having leagues would separate the player base. You already have a player base essentially split in half. I know it's not actually half, but you have 2 RuneScape games already. And there's an argument here for wouldn't this basically make 3? I mean, you'd have RuneScape Old School and Old School RuneScape 2 Special Edition. I don't know. I do understand that as an option. I do also acknowledge that a full-time league option would completely ruin the main game progression for a lot of people. A lot of people would play it, 15, 16 times XP with a bunch of relics, be able to absolutely mog skilling and get 99 in 2 seconds. Why would you go and play the main game after that and put like 500 hours into it? It's a tough question. I'm going to get to why I don't think that's much of a problem compared to how it looks, but I have to acknowledge that there is truth to that. Also, realistically, practically, this would split the game's resources, development resources, and developers. You even essentially have to play around with having a full-time leagues team. And I understand, I don't know RuneScape's finances. Someone else probably does. That might be an unwise financial decision. I don't know, though. I just have to acknowledge that that is a possibility without having done the math on it. It's also an option that breaking the game in this way is bad because it kind of devalues the main game. A lot of if leagues were full-time, a lot of your biggest like RuneScape highlights would come from the full-time league server. You would be seeing people all day doing crazy stuff, getting XP so fast, and it might ruin the main game in a different way, in sort of a diminishing return way that we'll get to, because those big moments can only happen so many times dopamine-wise before people start to get a little tired of it. But I'll get into that a little bit further later. Let's get to the main problem here. That's my breakdown of the whole thing, and now we're going to go into it bit by bit. Here's what I think the main problem is currently with old school RuneScape when looking at the leagues. I think the leagues are too fun. The leagues introduce a ton of items that are unique to the leagues. They introduce fantastic rewards. They make the base game so boring after. So I said I'd get into my longest break from RuneScape. My longest break from RuneScape is after Leagues 2. I finished Leagues 2. I had so much fun. And I went back to the base game for about an hour. And when I saw how long it would take me to do what I was already doing in the leagues, I couldn't play. It had really ruined me. And so I didn't play RuneScape for 2 years. It was the longest break I've ever taken from RuneScape. I did not play for 2 whole years. And it took me a while to get back into it. I actually had to make a new account and start. I started an Iron Man. You know how that is. I had to do something new and different to interact with the game in a way that I wanted to play it. The problem with the main game is, again, I love RuneScape. I consider it one of my favorite games ever. I think it is one of the most best and unique games ever made. It does not respect your time. I cannot think of another game that could ever, in its right mind, tell you straight that you're going to have to spend between 4 to 8,000 hours getting the maximum level in that game. That is absolutely unfair of an ask for someone. And also put this in comparison to the fact that, again, this is something that I've only seen tangentially addressed by RuneScape tubers. But the fact of the matter is that the major fan base and player base of old school RuneScape, we're getting older. Okay. So again, you have a lot of people like me who started playing the game when they were a kid, and now they're an adult and they love it for completely different reasons. We're getting into our late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. Some of us are already in our 40s. I'm 31. I'm getting married this year. I've got commitments, man. I cannot, in my right mind whatsoever, dedicate a sufficient amount of time to this game anymore, as much as I love it. Realistically, I just have other obligations I have to get to. I do not want to give up on this game. But the fact is that I don't want to have to, get an Excel sheet out and plot out how I'm going to try to max in RuneScape over the next 10 years to try to come up with 6,000 hours of play over 10 years. I don't want to budget my time like that. But with a league, yeah. Dude, I'll get on for a weekend with the boys, a few weekends with the boys, and just smash out a bunch of 99s and have a blasted good time. That's so much fun. But I can't bring myself to make that same promise in the normal game. And maybe you're there too. Maybe you're there too and you haven't even realized it. But now that I've said that, you're like, yeah, I'm getting older. I can't do that. Not to say that RuneScape hasn't brought in a lot of new fans. It's obviously an insanely popular game still, which is fantastic. But the problem is, I don't necessarily see a younger fan base of players overtaking the current general audience of RuneScape. I think the general audience of RuneScape is going to be forever stuck with this game. If you're like me, you're probably never going to actually stop playing RuneScape. You're just going to play in bits and pieces over until you die or the game ends somehow. That's really where we all are. I don't see a younger generation overtaking the amount of current players, if you know what I mean. Not to say that new players won't come in, they come in all the time. But I just don't see it. I'm also, to be honest, a big baby. I can't PvE to save my life. I'm really bad at it. This is true. I have been playing for 20 years. I've never beaten the fight caves. I have never gotten a fire cave. I'm absolutely scuffed. I couldn't even get a fire cape in, I think it was Leagues 2. I got all the range relics, all the combat relics, and I went to go smoke Jad, and I couldn't even do it then, man. And I was 99 range. I had everything. I had a really good equipment setup, and I was like, oh no. If I can't do it here, I just don't know when I'll ever do it. I have no idea when I will beat Jad. Maybe I'll do it this league. I don't know though. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to beat Jad this league. But I'm just bad at the PvE content. There's a bunch of stuff I've never even tried. Leagues is my only opportunity, personally, for me to try these things before I try them in the main game, kind of like a test. So I think there is a whole treasure trove of amazing PvE content that will never be touched by main players because they're just scuffed like me. They're not good at non-skilling content, at low stakes combat. That's where we flourish. Also, PvP would be absolutely cracked with some of the relics that and packs that are in the game. I mean, a PvP league, I even would be interested in that. Something like Darkscape. I mean, I know we already have Deadman mode, but if you Deadmanned a league, I, I'll get to my ideas later, but that's a pretty good one. And like I said, the fact with these problems that I'm presenting here is that I'm putting in air quotes, but botting in the main game, as in letting your computer do its thing for 6 hours while you go to your job and hopefully get a few levels before you get back. That is a tempting solution to the time problem of the main game. Private servers, as I've said, don't do it. Don't join one. Bad idea. I don't want to get in trouble with Jagex for just acknowledging that these exist, but they do. They appear to, again, ideally they don't, but they appear to solve the problem of time and instant gratification for players, right? Some guys have never gotten 99 in a certain skill. They just want to get a 99 in rune crafting. They want to wear the rune crafting cape. They've never seen it. So they go on a private server for 2 hours and get it done. Just to walk around with the rune crafting cape, even though it means absolutely nothing on a private server to have done that. Why don't we get rid of that problem? So here are my proposed solutions to these problems. The first, and honestly the most unrealistic solution, is more leagues more often. So what I would ideally look like is maybe a break, but ideally you have maybe 2 or 3 leagues a year with minimal breaks. And my idea for that, instead of just continuously making new leagues, I understand the amount of work that must go into doing these leagues, is that you just rerun or reboot old leagues instead of worrying about crafting a new one. I really think that you could run this league again a week after it's over and you would get more than half the player base back to do it again. I really think you would. I think this league is that fantastic. I understand that's a bold claim. We won't see the results of it, but I really do believe that. And I think a lot of people would agree with me. Let me know if you don't. Say something really long and mean if you don't, man. The longer and meaner the comment, the better. I just can't get enough of mean comments. I also think that if you really want a continuous league solution, you could run older leagues on rotation. Now, I don't know if there's like engine problems with that. Like, I'm sure from leagues 1, 2 to 3, there has been a lot of in-game engine fixes and updates that you can't just run the old league 1 for 1. If you can, just do it. But I understand if there's a difference there. I understand also, I'm thinking that there might become a high score bloat. How do you put on the high scores all of these league things? My first thought is you don't. That might tick people off, but maybe you just don't. I don't know what the solution is to that, frankly, to be completely honest. Another solution that I have is just resurrecting Project Zanaris. If you don't know, Project Zanaris was essentially a RuneScape sanctioned private server project. They were going to allow players to run their own servers at their own rates and their own rules and decide what content was in or not. Basically, official private servers. I think this is a fantastic idea. I don't necessarily understand why this idea was canned. I'm sure it was a resource problem, but I would highly encourage the Jagex team to look into some form of bringing this project back, even if it takes a long time. I think that this project could restore some of the problems that I've been talking about here. Obviously, I could also just get good, quit my job, divorce my wife. I'm not going to do that, but I guess that is a solution to my problem. I should just play RuneScape 20 hours a day, and I wouldn't have to whine about not being good at it. Jeez, I don't know why I didn't think about that. This presentation's over. Just kidding. We're moving on. So here again, we're going to get into the cons again in a little more detail. But here are the problems with the solutions I'm proposing. Once again, primarily the biggest one, we're going to split the player base by doing this. I don't know if you get around that necessarily, but and also hand in hand, playing the leagues full time, I don't even understand how someone would want to go back to the main game. It would be very unattractive for them to go back to the main game. Now, here is my thoughts with that. I think that there are a lot of players like me who find it incredibly hard to go back to the main game. And maybe even players like me who took years off of the game after playing a league. I think there are enough of those players to justify the decision to make leagues a full-time thing. I don't know the numbers. Jagex knows the numbers. They'll look at it when the leagues are done. They'll see how much the runoff is of people going back to the main game after playing the leagues. They can look from account to account. They can look like, oh, this guy got 2,000 total love in the leagues. He got 30,000 points. And then he didn't play the main game for 3 months. They know those metrics. I don't. So if they want to back up a rebuttal to this answer of my problems here with actual data, I'm all for it. They can own me. Get the JMod comment own going on over here. I'd love to see the statistics, but I just think that there are enough players who want nothing to do with the main game once they've touched leagues, because leagues is such an exhilarating, incredible experience. Admittedly, we'll get to splitting the resources in a second. I think this goes in better. Admittedly, I understand that playing leagues all the time, 2-month rotations of leagues, it would become diminishing returns. You would get people who are not necessarily going to play leagues nonstop. I understand that. Even this alleged fan base that I think is there, this gold mine of players that just want to play leagues all the time, I don't think they're getting on every 2 months to do a new league. I don't know. I could be wrong. I got to think if I would do that. I think I would, at least for a good while. I might skip 1 or 2 here or then, but I think I would. If you had 6 leagues a year of 2 months, maybe we'll say 5 to get some skip time in between, I think I'd play at least 3 of those leagues, man. I don't know if that's enough for your data. I don't know if that's enough to financially justify it, but that would put me in a position where I would actually be paying membership for a majority of the year, whereas now usually I go month to month when I feel like it. I hop on for a month, cancel. So as far as my ticket, as far as my purchase JX, you would have me at the year subscription. You would have a new annual. You wouldn't just have a month or 2 every now and then. Those are my thoughts. Now, again, I also acknowledge that you need a whole league team at this point. You would need a league team that's also contributing to creating new ideas for later leagues, and you would need a team that is helping retain the servers of the leagues. And you'd probably have to split them off from the main crop, because they would just need to know about league stuff all the time. They would need to know what's a problem with this or this to patch this or fix the world in some way, shape, or form. I understand that for it. A permanent, 12-month a year problem, it's probably a lot more resources. They opened up a ton of extra servers for these leagues, and I imagine it costs a lot of money to do stuff like that. So I acknowledge that they would have to do the math on if they could expect X amount of more players incoming to play leagues. Would that actually be worth the financial costs? I don't have those numbers. That's up to Jagex to decide. Also, leagues would be permanently behind the main game. If you're a leagues only player, there is content in the main game that you would not experience for a long time, and vice versa. If you're a main game only player, there's a ton of content that you would not be experiencing at all because of the leagues, and there could be some development or content bleed or problems with that. If a developer has a good idea for a league, I actually don't see that as much of a problem, maybe. If the developer pitches a good idea, then they could just decide if it goes in a league to try it out, and then maybe it goes into the base game on a vote. I don't know. I don't think. I don't know if I have much of a problem with that. I had to think about that. Tell me what you think about leagues being behind in content in the main game. I don't really see this as a problem. I just acknowledge that is a fact of life. Or forbid leagues gets ahead some way, where leagues get some content early. I think that would be bad for the game too, potentially. Because again, leagues is not Path of Exile. If you don't know Path of Exile, it's kind of a Diablo-like RPG where they essentially run leagues all the time. It's a leagues-based game where they run leagues, the leagues bring in the new content to the game, and then after leagues is over, they essentially decide what content from that league they want to dilute into the actual main game that everyone can play at any time. And then that's how the main game gets very curated content updates, because sometimes the leagues in Path of Exile get completely busted because certain options just break certain character builds and whatnot, and there are very obvious metas that outshine other classes and builds completely. That would be a problem. Would be a major problem in main game RuneScape. At the same time, there is some merit to some of what they do. Whereas if the RuneScape devs are kind of secretly kind of prodding some ideas of content that they want to bring into the main game, even something like the teleport relics, like, oh, would it be nice to have a sort of end game teleport option that lets you teleport to every city for free, just one item? That seems like a lot. But what if it was behind a Grandmaster quest? I don't know. I'm just spitting here, They have to be thinking about that in some regard. If there is some part of League, some little aspect that they like so much that they want to think about introducing it to the main game. I don't think that's a bad way of going about things. But at the end of the day, RuneScape is a definitively different game in framework and structure from something like Path of Exile. And that is why one of my solutions is not just to somehow make the main game more like Leagues. The main game is what it is. RuneScape has been the way that it is for 20 years. I understand that the game fundamentally doesn't respect your time, but that is just how the game is. And I think sort of reintroducing League somehow into the main game, letting it bleed in with XP boosts and, some of RuneScape 3's problems that it had for a while, I think it's a terrible idea. That's a very unwise idea. That's why I wouldn't suggest that at all. Okay, that's my primary argument. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you don't. Tell me you hate me. Tell me you love me. Tell me you hate RuneScape. You love RuneScape. I'm not making more RuneScape videos. This was sort of a one-off thing. I'm doing something else entirely on this channel. Stick around if you want to see that. And here's some mini ideas before you go. Just little guys. I think this is on most people's minds. I think a lot of people were hoping that the next league involves sailing. Not only. Maybe only. I don't know. I think only would be tough. I don't think we actually all want to do a Doc Johnson league. But I do think that we all hope that the next league involves sailing in some component, or at least is available. I know that would be tough, but I know we're all hoping for it. I also had the idea for a God Wars league, and I kind of mean this more thematically than anything. But I think your demonic packs here in League 6 gave me the idea of like, well, what if the skill trees were lightly based off of the gods, even as simple as the big three, right? Saradomin, Guthix, Zamorak. Zamorak? I'm saying Zamorak. I don't know what it actually is. I don't watch the lore videos. I'm just saying how I've said it since I was a kid. I think that's a cool idea. I think you do a lot with that. Tell me what you think. I think an F2P league would be cool. And I don't mean a league that is for free-to-play players necessarily. I think it's a bit harsh of an ask. But I do think you could do a mini league, like a 2-week league, in only the free-to-play area. I think that would go crazy. That would be like nostalgic bait easily for players. Or just, the 05 area. something like that. I think that would be a neat idea. I think it would be stacked. I mean, there would be overpopulated, but I think it would be a really neat idea. I also think a hardcore league would be great. Meaning that I guess you could do it like RuneScape 3. I think RuneScape 3 you just can't log in after you've died. Or you could just permanently place the player in like a hangout lobby when they die. You could also let players with points or whatnot or something like buy new extra lives somehow, so that you're not one and done. You know, if you've made it pretty far in the league, maybe you could buy more lives somehow. I think that's fair. I think that would be fun addition, honestly. And maybe you make them risky. Maybe you make some of the extra lives a little bit riskier, like your harder tasks in this league give you demonic packs. Maybe some really hard tasks like uh, beating the gauntlet or beating the corrupted gauntlet without dying could give you an extra life. Something like that. I think that's a really immediately just neat idea. And again, that could be a mini league. I don't think you want 8 months of that, or sorry, 8 weeks of that, because you would have a very dwindling fan base by the end of it. I guess you would have the money benefit of people making alts if they want to give it another shot. I guess you do what you want with that idea, but I think a hardcore league idea is really in the cards. I think a lot of people would be down for that, genuinely. Here's an idea that no one would be down for at all. Ultimate League, no banking. I played in a UIM for a few years. Horrible experience. Absolutely loved it. Would recommend. But yeah, I think a mini league of no banking would go kind of crazy. And finally, I think they should do this for the 10th league. A league's league. Basically like a best in show, like, League of Champions. All your favorite past relics. Just go absolutely nuts. Imagine if you could do this and this, how busted would things be? Could someone get like 40 million experience an hour at Wintertod? Who knows? I think it would be cool to find out, though. I don't know how you put that all together, like in tier rank, like relic ranks. I don't know how you balance like 15. I don't think you balance. I think that's the answer, though, is you don't balance. It just would be like absolutely insane. And then finally, obviously, like me, you should just maybe get good, quit your job, and divorce your wife. That might be the best option here. I don't know. I'm just a guy. That's all I've got. This is an unusual video for me. I'm doing something different on this channel. Go watch the first video I made if you actually care who I am and what I'm up to. If not, that's the end of the RuneScape discussion. And that's it for RuneScape on this channel, probably for a while. I like talking about it, so I probably will talk about it again at some time. But that would be in a different form, if that makes sense. All right, that's it. I'm going to go play some more leagues. Bye-bye.